Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to listen carefully because what I'm about to say could change the way you think, the way you act, and the way you live your life. I want to talk to you about something that touches every part of your existence, whether you realize it or not. I want to talk to you about your mindset about money, about life, and about possibility. You see, there are two ways people think. There's the mindset of the rich, and there's the mindset of the poor. And I don't mean rich in dollars. I mean rich in spirit, in vision, in possibility. And I don't mean poor in bank accounts. I mean poor in thought, in belief, in willingness to stretch beyond what is comfortable. Now, let me tell you something. The rich mindset, it's not about luck. It's not about being born with a silver spoon. It's about how you see the world. It's about how you respond when life knocks you down. Because life will knock you down, my friend. Life will hit you with challenges, with betrayals, with failures. But the rich mindset says, I will rise, I will grow, I will take my pain, and I will turn it into power. And on the other hand, the poor mindset says, why me? Why can't I catch a break? I'll never get ahead. It blames circumstances. It fears change. It avoids risk. And here's the thing, my friends, it's not just about money. It's about how you live your life. Because if you stay in a mindset of scarcity, you will see scarcity everywhere. If you live thinking that there's never enough, you will always feel there's never enough. And if you constantly focus on what you don't have, you will never recognize what you do have. I want you to take a moment and think about this. The rich mindset sees opportunity. The rich mindset sees possibility. The rich mindset says, I can learn, I can adapt, I can overcome. But the poor mindset sees walls, it sees limits, it sees barriers, and it shrinks back from them. And here's the kicker, both mindsets can start with the same resources, the same opportunities, the same background. It's not about what you have, it's about what you believe you can have. I've seen people with nothing in their pockets build empires because they believed. And I've seen people with everything in their pockets stay trapped because they doubted. Do you understand what I'm saying? Your mindset, your way of thinking, is the engine that drives your life. It determines whether you stumble and stay down or stumble and rise even higher. Let me tell you something about fear, because fear is at the center of this. The poor mindset is ruled by fear. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of losing what little they think they have. But the rich mindset, they feel the fear, yes, but they move anyway. They act in spite of it. They don't let fear paralyze them. They let it propel them. Fear becomes fuel, becomes a teacher. Fear becomes a challenge to rise above. And you, sitting here today, you have that same power within you. I want to ask you something. How many of you are tired of being tired? How many of you are tired of watching life pass you by while someone else takes the opportunities that belong to you? Listen carefully, because this is the truth. The only thing standing between you and the life you dream about is your mind, not the economy, not the government, not your parents, not your circumstances, your mind. And you can change it, you can shift it, you can break free of the limits you've imposed on yourself. But it takes work, it takes commitment, and it takes courage. Now, I know some of you are thinking, it's easy to say, but I have bills to pay. I have responsibilities. I don't have time to think about mindset. Let me tell you something. Mindset is what allows you to pay your bills. Mindset is what allows you to take control of your finances, your career, your relationships, your health. Without the right mindset, You can work harder than anyone else and still stay stuck, but with the right mindset, you can create opportunities that others cannot even see. And here's what separates those who succeed from those who fail. The rich mindset doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It doesn't wait for the stars to align. It doesn't wait for someone else to give them permission. The rich mindset takes responsibility. It says, I am the master of my destiny. I am the captain of my soul. I am responsible for my life. And let me tell you, when you take responsibility, something magical happens. Doors start to open. Opportunities start to appear. People start to notice. You start to notice yourself. Persistence. The word itself carries weight, carries power. I want you to sit with that word for a moment, because the difference between those who succeed and those who fail often comes down to nothing more than persistence. Not talent, not luck, not resources, but persistence. The rich mindset, the mindset of people who achieve greatness, they persist when the world says no. They persist when doors slam in their faces. They persist when everyone around them is telling them it's impossible. And the poor mindset, they quit at the first sign of resistance, at the first challenge, at the first failure, at the first sign of difficulty. They throw in the towel. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Persistence sounds good. But what about when it hurts? What about when I feel exhausted, beaten down, frustrated? I'm telling you right now, that's exactly when persistence matters the most. That's exactly when your mindset will define your future. You see, success is not for those who have never failed. Success is for those who refuse to quit. Success is for those who fall down, get up and fall again, and get up again, and keep moving even when their body is tired and their spirit is weary. Think about every person who has ever achieved anything meaningful in their life. They did not succeed because everything came easy. They succeeded because they refused to stop. They refused to let obstacles dictate the story of their life. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb on his first try. He failed thousands of times, and when people asked him about it, he said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Do you understand what that means? That means persistence is about perspective. It's about seeing setbacks not as the end, but as steps along the journey. And let me tell you something else. The poor mindset does not see this. The poor mindset sees a setback and thinks it's the end of the road, one failure, one disappointment, one rejection, and suddenly the dream is dead. They measure their worth by immediate results. They think, if it's hard, it must be impossible. And because of that, they miss the opportunities that are hidden in the struggle. They miss the lessons that come disguised as failure. They miss the growth that comes when you refuse to quit, even when quitting seems easier than moving forward. Persistence is not glamorous. It's not always celebrated. It doesn't always make sense in the moment. But I'm telling you, if you persist, if you push forward when everyone else stops, if you keep showing up when and everyone else walks away, that's when transformation happens. That's when you begin to stand out. That's when life begins to notice you. People will look at you and say, how did they do it? How did they achieve so much? And the answer is simple persistence. I want you to think about the times in your own life when you wanted to quit. Think about the moments when giving up seemed easier than facing the challenge. Maybe it was in school. Maybe it was at work. Maybe it was in your personal life. Maybe it was a relationship, a project, or a dream you've held for years. What if, just what if, you had persisted? What if you had refused to give up, even when the odds were against you? I guarantee you, your life would look different right now. And the truth is, it's not too late. You can start today. You can make the decision in this very moment to persist, to rise, to push, to fight, to refuse to quit. Persistence also teaches resilience, and resilience is a quality that cannot be bought or inherited. It is forged in the fire of struggle. Every time you refuse to quit, every time you push forward despite fear, despite doubt, despite pain, you strengthen your mind, you build your character. You build the kind of mental and emotional muscle that cannot be taken from you. Because when life gets hard, and life will get hard, you will already have the strength to face it. You will already have the courage to keep going. Let me give you a real-world example. Imagine a young entrepreneur with no money, no connections, no experience. Everyone tells them they're crazy. Everyone says they will fail. They experience rejection after rejection. They encounter setbacks that would make most people quit in despair. But this entrepreneur persists. They study, they practice, they refine their skills, they adjust, they try again, they push forward, and eventually they achieve success. And here's the key. When they reach that success, it's not just about the money or the recognition. It's about the journey, the growth, the lessons learned along the way. It's about the fact that persistence transformed them into someone capable of handling the success they achieved. Persistence also demands patience. And patience is another quality the poor mindset lacks. The poor mindset wants instant results. They want instant gratification. They want things to happen on their timeline, according to their schedule, and when it doesn't, they give up. But persistence is not about speed. It's about consistency. It's about showing up day after day, even when it seems like nothing is changing. It's about planting seeds, watering them, and trusting that in time they will grow. And when they do grow, the results are often far beyond what you could have imagined. Here's another truth: persistence builds momentum. Every small step forward, every little action you take, every refusal to quit adds up. You may not see the results immediately, but over time, those small actions compound. They create movement, they create energy. They create the kind of unstoppable force that carries you through challenges that would crush someone with a poor mindset. That's the secret the world doesn't often tell you. The world celebrates the finish line, but the real power is in the daily commitment to persist. Persistence is also deeply tied to belief. You must believe that what you're striving for is worth it. You must believe that your effort matters. You must believe that your dreams are not foolish, that your goals are not unattainable, that your life is not predetermined by circumstances. Without belief, persistence falters, but with belief, even the most difficult challenge becomes manageable. Even the greatest obstacle becomes surmountable, and belief combined with persistence is unstoppable. I want you to think about the people in history who refused to quit. People like Nelson Mandela, who endured decades in prison but never gave up on the vision of freedom for his people. People like Helen Keller, who refused to let blindness and deafness define her life. People like Abraham Lincoln, who faced failure after failure in his political career, but kept running until he became one of the most transformative leaders in history. These people didn't quit, they persisted. They didn't allow temporary setbacks to define permanent outcomes. And that is what separates greatness from mediocrity. Persistence is also about courage. It is about facing fear head on and refusing to let it dictate your actions. Every time you persist, you are making a courageous choice. You are telling yourself and the world, I am not defined by fear. I am not defined by failure. I am defined by my determination to keep moving forward. And make no mistake, there will be moments when quitting seems logical. There will be moments when giving up feels like the safer path, but it is in those moments, my friends, that persistence matters the most. Persistence is also contagious. When you refuse to quit, you inspire others. People around you begin to see what is possible. They begin to believe in themselves because they see you refusing to quit. Your persistence creates a ripple effect that extends far beyond you. It transforms teams, communities, and even generations. And that, my friends, is the power of refusing to give up. The poor mindset, on the other hand, misses this. The poor mindset sees obstacles and feels defeated. They quit when the going gets tough, and in doing so, they rob themselves of growth, of opportunity, of greatness. They fail not because they are incapable, but because they lack persistence. They stop just short of success. And that, my friends, is the tragedy of giving up too soon. Persistence also requires flexibility. It doesn't mean stubbornly sticking to the same path if it's not working. It means adjusting, learning, and adapting while keeping your eye on the ultimate goal. It means taking failure as a teacher, not a verdict. The rich mindset persists not blindly, but intelligently, always finding new ways to move forward, always finding new solutions, always keeping the end goal in sight, even if the path changes.